and degradation. Hence, we can hypothesize that neuroplastic changes and functional gain will slow down with age. Variables that are related to brain injury. Some studies have suggested that the integrity of specific descending tracts are more important predirectors of therapeutic outcomes than the infarct size and baseline clinical assessment. Hence, tailoring therapy for individual patient becomes necessary. Now, what is the time-sensitive critical period? The time-sensitive critical period is that period if therapy is provided too early or at a very high intensity in the early days has been shown to produce negative outcomes. Forced use of impaired forelimb within the first 7 days after a stroke induced in the sensory motor cortex, it results in poorer functional outcomes. This phenomena has been attributed to excessive excitotoxicity in tissues surrounding the site of the brain injury. Now, delay, however, even if you're going to delay your therapy, it can facilitate self-taught compensatory behaviors, and they may also interfere with rehabilitation training, which is going to be targeted towards restoring functions. This problem, I guess, as therapists, all of us have always noted. Now, you can use the parameter generalized aerobic exercises in post-stroke rehabilitation can increase metabolic demand in the brain and lead to angiogenesis and neurogenesis, which are important for learning and memory. Then task-specific training. Now, this is an important aspect. Task-specific training in rehabilitation means goal or goal-directed practice and repetition of context-specific functional tasks. It produces changes in neural architecture, including sprouting, synaptogenesis, synaptic potentiation, dendritic branches. All are associated with enhanced motor learning and relearning. In humans, task-specific training of the upper limb has demonstrated changes in brain activation patterns which were measured by MRI. Now, what is task-specific training? Task-specific training will be to train an individual for that particular task. And so generally repetitive practices of the same task is given again. Now, what is repetition, intensity, and time acquisition of skill itself? These are not enough to induce neuroplasticity. Positive correlations between levels of therapy, intensity, and the functional outcome also should be considered. That is the amount of effort the individual is putting in and the kind of rewards he is getting out of it also have to be compared. And when he gets a positive feedback, the learning is far better. Now, engagement, attention, motivation, etc. All these factors are very important when a therapist structures a session to increase active involvement. This is very obvious. You need to engage a person, you need to get his attention, and you need to motivate the patient so that there is good attainment of individualized goals, and the learning is far better. Now, mental practice or training. Mental training is defined as an active, repetitive process of cognitively rehearsing specific actions to improve motor performance. Mental practice of a particular task has been shown to activate similar brain regions for the foot, hand, and arm or locomotive movements. Mirror training is one similar kind of approach, and these mental practices, it is limited only to people whose relatively the higher mental functions have been maintained out and they haven't been affected because of the neuronal damage. Increased attention causes motor learning of tasks with appropriate level of complexity, challenge, and novelty. Now, here a very good example of this is visual reality rehabilitation. This is the latest technique that has come where with help of specialized glasses, you create an environment where the individual is given an environment where he has to move, and he rather likes moving there, and the control of the independent individual is developed there of any part, or even to the matter of fact, even the trunk can be improved with it. Now, few final thoughts over recovery. Recovery is used synonymously with normalizing movements, with that of non-disabled peers and with restoration. Then compensation is synonymously used with adaptation. It can be maladaptation, substitution, or learning alternative strategies. Then therapists should be aiming at different things at different stages of rehabilitation. I'll explain myself. Uh, to work on impairment level or is working on elements of movement that make up a functional task that leads to minimal compensation patterns. Now, what is impairment level? When I say I'm going to work on the impairment level, I'm going to work for example, I'll be working on the sensory focus. If I want to work on the sensory part, I'll work so that he processes his tactile information well, so that the proprioception is improved well, at a level the vestibular information is also processed well, and then I may all of this effectively I get a good goal. But when I come to functional goals are generally set by the individual himself. So the goal can be that the patient can walk a certain distance safely and independently, or to move in the house safely, especially when the patient is going to be discharged from the hospital. Now here there is little focus on quality of movement, but more focus is given to achieving of such a goal. These goals, or this I in my personal practice, we see so that functional goals are initially given so that the patient gets his uh, his first initial mobility, but later on it becomes very important to work on the quality of movement as well, because if false quality of movement is continued, it is going to lead to bigger issues with compromised biomechanics of the joint, and then with deformities, painful joints, etc. The list is unending. Now, with every patient, every therapist, you need to establish indicators for plateaus for effect of therapies. With all patients, there occurs one particular time where a plateau has been achieved. That now no change is occurring with my present mode of treatment. In those cases, you either change the mode of treatment, or then if you feel that is the final thing, then there you teach the patient to adapt himself and help him get independent in his daily life. You give him adaptive skills. Outcome measures, they should be used as requirements of the particular case. Now, each one it is going to the case is going to be different, and the therapist the comfort level of the therapist also varies with different scales. Whichever scale the therapist is comfortable with and it goes in common with the goals that are set up for the patients can be used, but it is very necessary to use these so that you can see that how much amount of improvement you have got in your independent client. Now, following all these principles, we have tried to give results. Now, this is a girl, she's an hypotonic girl. We started giving her treatment at 9 months of age. She was in neck holding. She started neck holding at 1.5 years of age. Then she's sitting there independently at about, she's sitting at 2 years. She started sitting at 2 years. And then she was standing without support at 3 years. Then she was walking with support at 3.5 years. And she's walking independently now. Presently, we are working on hurdle crossing with her, climbing stairs independently. I guess I have said what I wanted to. If any doubts, you can ask. I think somebody has asked me what is syn kinesis. I don't think I use that word. Uh, I didn't, you please rectify. I guess it is Nithya Selvan. And neuroplasticity, it does not occur only in the brain, but it can occur in the spinal cord also. In the spinal cord, generally, it is seen in the form of sprouting of the damaged nerve endings. The three forms of vicariation. Now, the three forms of vicariation are, again, the first one was the, one second. The first one was the functional map extension. The functional map extension here, the area which is surrounding the brain, it takes up few parts of the function of the disease part. The entire function is not taken, but only few of the functions can be taken. Now the next is homologous regional adaptation, where the other hemisphere, if the right hemisphere is affected, the left hemisphere takes up only certain amount of functions of the disease part. And the last one is cross-modal reassignment, where the structures which were previously devoted to processing a particular kind of senses, a mode of sensory input, you teach them or you train them to take a new sensory modality. Somebody asked, ma'am, how can we relate and plan treatment relating to neuroplacidity and post-stroke placidity? See, now post-stroke placidity, you are going to first, basically what I have been doing is you start giving a lot of proprioception initially and positioning. In the first 7 days, you wait for the patient to come out of his of his initial shock, and then you can start giving other kinds of therapies. Generally, weight bearing and diagonal and promoting diagonal movement patterns is far more useful, and it gives better results.
Ma'am, there are 2 more questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
Is there any fixed age till when plasticity occurs? Is by
No,
Patil.
there isn't any specific age till which plasticity occurs. It can occur. It can occur throughout your life, but however, with age the process is slower.
Okay, and there is one more question.
Yeah.
By Johar, that
Yeah.
if the neuroplasticity occurs only in the brain or it can occur in the spinal cord as well.
I just answered it. It does occur in the spinal cord also, and the method in which it occurs in the spinal cord is there is dendritic branches and there is sprouting from the diseased nerve ends.
Okay, ma'am. There is this question by Shivani. Does any pharmacological drug affect?
Drug affect not anything that is known of. See, presently they are following diets like see, somebody who doesn't respond to whose epilepsy doesn't respond to routine medicines, they go on to gluten-free diets or something, and that has seemed to develop to help them, but no per se any medication that is going to help for sprouting to occur, not that I have read of. With time sensitive critical mirror, do you mean to have to? No, I'm not Sheetal Jain. I'm not saying that you have to start rehab after 7 days. You can start it sooner, but in those time you focus more on maintaining your ranges than facilitating active movement and giving positionings. You are not going to give very intensive therapy in the first 7 days. Fast icing only treat flaccidity or another? I don't understand. Fast icing may be used to promote tone in an independent part. That's it. You can definitely see flaccidity can't be treated with it. You can help and promote tone in a muscle, but the use of fast icing can be only for a very short period of time. It won't really go long. In my particular practice, I have been following one thing, then giving any passive means of stimulation. It is always better to promote movement by handling a patient. You can use n number of techniques like Bobath, NDT, you have PNF maneuvers, where the patient participation is much more. In things like fast icing, I'm not saying it doesn't affect, but the patient participation is very minimal here. When patient participation is more, you get more better results.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Any other questions by anyone?
Anything more, Shraddha?
No, ma'am. I guess they've asked you questions. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for taking out
Thanks a
time
lot,
for
everybody,
us.
being patient with me. Thank you.
Okay.